When I first met Tony White, I was taking a scene study class with Maria Somos at the Producers Club. And we had a special guest come in. And it was Tony. And at first, the very first thing I noticed was that he was wearing suspenders. And the second thing I noticed was his posture. I desperately just wanted to pull his shoulders back. He didn't say much. He seemed very relaxed and in his element. My scene goes up, we finish, we sit down for notes. And he looks at me and he says, "You know, I've never seen anyone do laundry quite like you." And I look confused and I'm like, okay. And he says, as he scoots forward, "You know, you folded and unfolded all the clothing in that basket like 3 or 4 times." And that's Tony. Out of all the years that I've studied acting, he just made everything so simple and didn't overcomplicate anything. He made me so aware of my actions, which made me think more about my intention, which led to healthy explorations. And it was just great to have someone who had been in the business, who knew how to talk to all of us who were just trying to start out somewhere. And throughout the years, we'd see him. I always looked forward to his feedback. And then he started casting me in some of his shows. And we became really good friends. He was always working on something. He gave me so many opportunities to be on stage. And a year ago, he reached out to me asking how my one-woman show was coming along. Something he knew that I had been working on forever since we met. And I had nothing. I had just years of notes and journal entries and tons of ingredients and no recipe, basically. And I needed help. And Tony believed in me. We would get together at Reservoir, a bar down the block from my restaurant where I worked, and we would powwow, we'd write, talk, brainstorm. I'd always leave feeling so much better than when I first walked in the door, because I was actually doing something and I was creative. I was creating. We spent weeks upon months getting together, sharing emails, rough drafts, going to see shows, sometimes really bad shows, and Tony would fall asleep and I'd have to nudge him subtly to wake him up. And he'd always deny that he was asleep. He was like, "I'm just closing my eyes. I'm awake. I can hear everything." I'm like, okay. Less than 2 months before opening night, I don't even have a show yet. And we're sitting outside and I had a tape recorder with me. And he says, "Don't think about it. Just tell me your story. Give it a whirl," he says. And that afternoon I had my first rough draft of Hitting a Wall. And it went on to sell out during its run. And this is just the beginning. And we lost Tony right before opening night. And he was very much in my heart during the entire run and after. And I thank Tony every day for the ability to finally tell my story. I'm so easily reminded of him passing by comedy clubs and all the bars where we would get together and brainstorm, all the theaters and rehearsal spaces that we've shared over the years. And of course, he's always with me whenever I fold my laundry. Love you, Tony.